I'm Bushart.
My name is Mayari Coriano.
Haylee Winstrom.
Cali Brown.
Dharius Walker.
Blake Benjamin.
Nick Slater.
My name is Drew Jenner.
I'm Tim Burleson.
I'm Nathan Maas.
So the first question I have for you is to state your full name.
I'm Bushart.
All right, Megan, I brought you here because you're a senior in high school and you're a female athlete, and I just wanted to ask you some questions. So first I wanted to ask you, well, you can just freely talk, but like your struggles, do you think about balancing school and like college and like athletics and stuff? What do you think you struggle with, and what like are you working towards and like balancing and stuff?
So growing up, I was always a multi-sport athlete. I always did 3 sports year-round. And it was pretty easy up until I got until about my junior year of high school, just because that's when the academics started hitting a little bit harder. My freshman and sophomore year, it was pretty easy because my classes were a lot easier, but I started to definitely take the academic challenge my junior and senior year. So I definitely think that's when the pressure started coming, and with the thought of college, it just all became, at first it was a little bit overwhelming, and I kind of just procrastinated on everything. And so entering my senior year of high school, it's starting to become more pressure, just because now I actually have to decide like where I'm going to go for college, and the reality is starting to hit me a little bit. So definitely trying to balance school on top of working 2 jobs and playing lacrosse, and then trying to figure out where I want to do in high school has definitely become a struggle, and it's more of just a time management and trying to figure out how to do it without the guidance of others and figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, I feel that a lot. What do you say is like a big stress reliever or helps you relieve your stress when you're feeling stressed out with all the stuff that you're going through and like working with?
Definitely taking some time to myself. I find that even just like driving to a friend's house just kind of clears my head, or just like talking with one of my best friends just about how to better manage my time, and just having like the reassurance from coaches, family members, and friends that it'll all work out in its own time. And personally, I find that like praying and talking to God helps a little bit, or a lot, and just knowing that there's always going to be a plan and not to stress about the present and just be ready for the future.
How important is your faith to you in your everyday life?
To me, it's very important. What I find as a struggle, which I sometimes gets frustrating, is being an athlete. I can only really work on the weekends, so Sundays are kind of my only time. Saturday and Sundays are my only time to really work, with also trying to balance the social life. So I find it hard to go to church, but I definitely prioritize talking to God every day and fitting in just like daily Bible studies and with myself, and just reflecting on how to put it in my life.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. And what sport do you play?
I play lacrosse.
All right, and do you have any advice for any young lacrosse players out there?
Just keep working. Definitely just try to find your footing at a young age. It always helps that growing up, you know that you have a support system, and just constantly growing as an athlete and working hard for what you want.
All right, thank you, Megan. So what is your name?
My name is Mayari Coriano.
Hey, Mayari. So you're a senior in high school, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I want you to talk about your experiences with being an athlete. I know you're a diver and you're looking to go to college, so could you talk about that?
Yeah, so my experience as an athlete, I started out as gymnastics. I started when I was 4 years old, and it was always really hard for me because I was always held to like such like a perfectionist level. Like I went through I was like the girl they looked at as like the Olympic girl, so say. So I was always under all the pressure and stress, and like going to practice, it was like fun at a young age, but once I started getting older, it was just like the abuse from coaches, and it was just so much pressure, honestly. So I went through all the injuries with that, and breaking wrists and breaking ankles and breaking arms. Like the coaches kind of just looked over those injuries because they wanted you to just consistently train, and every day, 5 days a week, 5.5 hours of practice. So I was always looked over like mentally and physically a lot. So all that training kind of led to like who I am today, and like being a perfectionist in a way. So eventually I did switch over to the sport diving, and coming from like 12 years of gymnastics to diving where I am now, obviously, it was a hard change because I was always used to like being the best and being on top and being better than my teammates. So coming from gymnastics to diving, I was essentially like the worst at diving. Like I never touched a pool, I never touched a diving board before, like in the sport way. So I had to work very hard to get on top again and like just show my coaches, and the coaching was so much more like relaxed and everything. But yeah.
What would you say helped you kind of get through that curve of like hard work and work ethic about like starting scratch, already being disadvantaged because everyone else has been doing it for so long? And also, how did you like work through not understanding that you don't need to be perfect all the time?
I mean, I honestly had to change the mindset because at such a young age, like they just like hammered it into my brain that like I had to go to the Olympics, I had to go to college, I had to do this and do this to be like the perfect gymnast. So coming from gymnastics to diving, it was just like changing my mindset in a way. Like I just have to do this for me at this point. It's not for the Olympics, it's not for college. Like I just have to be happy doing the sport that I love and being there with a team I love instead of doing it to impress my coaches.
Thank you so much. And what would you say to any young female athletes out there who are looking up to you, or any girls who want to see more mixed representation in the media or in athleticism? What would you want to say to those girls out there who are aspiring to be athletes and stuff?
Honestly, do it for you. Don't do it for the coaches, because at some point in the athlete's career, they're always scared of the coaches. They're scared of what the coaches are going to say or think of them. But you have to do it for you. You can't do it for a coach who doesn't want, honestly, the best for you, mentally and physically.
All right, thank you, Mash. So what is your name?
Haylee Winstrom.
And Haylee, is it true that you had tore your ACL?
Yes.
And did you go through any you're good. Did you go through any mental barriers or challenges not being able to play and having to sit out for such a long time?
Yeah, I would say when it happened, I didn't think that anything was wrong with me. I thought I was gonna be fine. Oh, it's just a little twist. But honestly, it's something you don't really expect. I've been playing soccer my whole life, ever since I was little. And obviously it happens to a lot of people that play soccer. But when it actually happens to yourself, you don't realize how much people struggle. It doesn't seem oh, she just got hurt. No, it's not like that at all. You feel you're just gone from your sport entirely.
And how did you overcome that?
Well, when it happened, it was back in March. It was right before spring break and all that. So I'm not a person to want to miss out on things. So I was determined to heal myself and be fine before that. But obviously I wasn't, and I just kind of pushed it to the back of my mind I hurt myself. It's gonna be fine. I'll be back right after spring break playing again. But that wasn't the case, because I remember I went to multiple different doctors to ask them what they could do, what they would do, my recovery time and all that. And it was just kind of a really I don't know how to explain it. It's just something that you wouldn't expect to put you down so much and constantly think about. Especially even after surgery, physical therapy, I had to go every day for, I don't know, I still go once or twice a week, and even then I still cry about it. I still get upset about it, and it still pisses me off all the time. It's just such a thing that you don't expect.
So what would you say you've learned from, I guess, understanding and learning that in life things will happen that you don't expect, and to overcome those and become stronger out of it? What advice would you give?
I don't know. I feel you don't have anyone to talk about. There's obviously people that you can talk to, and nowadays I've realized so much about how much I take things for granted, especially recently. After a lot of stuff happening in other people's life, just looking at it and realizing I'm gonna come back to soccer. I'm gonna be fine. It's gonna be just looking at the future and stop focusing on being upset about it any time.
All right, thank you, Haylee. What's your name?
Dharius Walker.
All right, Dharius. So I know that you're a big football guy. Can you talk a little bit about football, your drive for it, and why you love the sport so much?
Yeah, I started getting really good, or was really into sports right from the start. My parents always had me doing something between tennis, baseball. Mom was a really big softball fan, so she wanted me to do baseball, but I never really got into it, and I was more of a physical sport, and I really wanted to play football after watching it with my dad. But she said that it was too physical and she's worried about me getting hurt, so I just stick with soccer. And the deal was, in high school I could play. So freshman year I came out and tried out for the team. Had a lot of fun, fell in love with it. I started out playing as a receiver because I was smaller, and that was a lot of fun. I loved that environment of playing, and that's just when I first started getting into it. And then I stuck with that because I like playing football more than soccer. My sophomore year, I got pulled up towards the end of the season, which was really cool to be in that varsity environment with the team. and I was really excited to do that. Plus with the new coach, Coach Pennington has done a great job with the program, and it was just great seeing it evolve into what it is now.
And so you said that your mom was kind of like afraid you get an injury, and you have one right now. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was kind of sucky. It was like the second game of the season, my senior year. I couldn't start last year because I was behind Justice Reed, who was a great player. He was a 3-year starter, so it totally makes sense why they kept with him. But now when it was kind of like my time to shine, after working so hard last year, then getting on the field, and like that second game, it was like the third down. It was really hard, and I had a lot of emotions going through my head because I thought my season was over with. I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago and got it figured out, and I did have a broken fibula, so that was really hard because they said I would never be able to play football again. But that was after I already broke my wrist that year too, and they said I wouldn't be able to catch any balls or anything like that, but I was able to go through rehab, everything like that, and I've been able to play. So just the goal is to try and be able to get back for at least the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you will be able to, because I feel like when it comes to like sports and like injuries and stuff, a lot of it's mental, and you seem that you have like a really strong mental tenacity that you don't see in a lot of athletes. So how would you say you want to move forward with continuing to have that same mental toughness that you will be able to play again?
Yeah, I have to wear this boot for a couple more weeks to still weight off, but I know like right when I'll be able to do and put weight on my foot again, I'm going to be back in the weight room, back doing rehab and just everything I can do to get back out in that field.
All right, and then what would you say is your greatest lesson that you've learned as far as like becoming stronger, both as an athlete, like physically and then mentally as well?
Yeah, just to never take anything for granted. It was like 2 plays in the game, I'm on the field just having fun, everything else, and then the next play now I'm not able to walk on my foot again for like the next 8 months or 8 weeks. So it's just like just not taking anything for granted, and just like day by day, just enjoying every bit of life that you can.
All right. And what is the greatest piece of advice you'd have for a young aspiring football player or athlete in general?
Size does not matter. It's all about drive and just how much you want to get in that weight room and how much you want to get after. That's all it's about.
If you wanted to speak a little bit about like your mixed identity and how you've like navigated the world through that.
Oh yeah, my dad and his brothers and sisters have always had so much fun. They went through a really hard time when they were younger with bullying and stuff like that, and I know that when I'm around my friends, stuff like that, it's a safe place. So I'm able to joke around about things, which I know is hard for some other people who have experienced different things. I've been blessed enough to be put in an environment where I'm not really experiencing any of that, like bullying or anything like that. So I'm still able to enjoy myself and just be able to be myself around my friends.
And do you think it's important to have like mixed representation like in sports and stuff for like other young mixed kids?
Yeah, I think you just do you, and don't let anyone else tell you that you can't do something or anything like that, especially because of your race.
All right, thank you.
Did you look at me when I was little? This was me and like. Do you think this became like a starting football player? Freshman year, I didn't start. Sophomore year, I didn't start. Junior year, sophomore year, I started, but they still subbed in people for me.
All right, so Ali, talk a little bit how you went from being like the underdog, really underweight, really skinny, to being like one of the starting
Not
football
skinny,
players.
definitely fat.
Okay. Talk about a little bit how you like, I guess, overcame that like body image barrier and how you use that as fuel to become a better athlete.
Just having people always say to me like, "Oh, I can never imagine you like starting in any position." That always fueled me. I remember one time we were watching the varsity team. I think it was like freshman, sophomore year. I was like, man, I can't wait to go play varsity football for Coach P. And then some senior turned around and said, like, you'll be on the team, but you'll never start. And ever since then, I've been, like, just been fueled by that. Especially just been, like, just some fat little chubby kid, that just came fresh out of middle school. With, like, I didn't have anything, like, that was crazy. Like, I was never, like, born athletic. I was never born fast or anything like that. Just working and just being fully devoted to this Cali football program, that's what fueled me. I just wanted to prove everybody wrong, which I did.
So what would you say you learned from this experience of how people have defined who you can and cannot be, and how you take those labels and you rebrand them, and obviously you did really well?
You just don't care what people say to you. Like, I don't care how people view me. I don't care if they like me. I don't care if they don't like me. I love myself. That's all that really matters. I learned that from my coaches, like Coach Chuma. Every single time when I like make a joke at him, he's like, I don't care what you think about me, because like I know what I can do. Like, I know the abilities that I can do, and like I just adapted that same identity.
So what advice would you have to anyone who's struggling with self-worth or cares a lot what other people think? Because I know especially in this climate and our age group, it's really hard sometimes to not let what other people think about you, what let other people say about you kind of like affect you. So what would you say to someone who's struggling with that and cares way too much about what other people think?
I said just, put the phone down, just like escape all that social media bull crap when they're just like showing you like crazy huge athletes. Like, it's just unrealistic. If people are telling you that like, oh, you're so fat, bro, like you'll never be able to play any sport, prove them wrong. You guys feel like I did. I mean, like, there's so much stuff the teenage body can accomplish that's actually insane. And it just all starts with you being mentally ready for that.
All right, thank you. What's your name?
Blake Benjamin.
All right, Blake. So I was wondering if you could talk to me a little bit about what it's like to have to go through a divorce and having divorced parents and how that shaped you and different challenges you've gone through.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can definitely talk about that.
What negative things have you gone through because of your parents' divorce, or have you felt like you've like gone through like depression or something like that, or something like that because of your parents' divorce?
Oh yeah, that's definitely happened. I mean, I've gone through like seen many fights between my parents, stuff like that.
And how did seeing those fights with your parents affect you?
Oh well, it definitely made me really sad to see them like that. Because obviously, as a little kid, you don't like expect your parents to be acting like that towards each other. But I think it just made me see a little bit into the real world, like into adult life a little bit, even as young as I was, because I was about like 7 or 8. And so I think it actually made me stronger and realize what I would maybe have to go through as an adult.
And piggybacking off of that, based on what you just said, do you think that watching your parents go through divorce and stuff kind of affects how you see and view relationships today, romantically, of course?
Oh yeah, that definitely does, because I mean, it can kind of help you gauge, like, do you truly love this person? Do you see yourself with them for the rest of your life? Like, for obviously the rest of your life. And I've seen like many friends and other people go through it too, so I've shared experiences with people like that too. So it's easy for me to like sympathize with them and be there for them too.
I appreciate that. So do you think you're definitely, when like moving forward with like romantic relationships, when you're dating and stuff, you're definitely gonna have that in the forefront of your mind about like if you actually like this person or if you actually want to be with them, stuff like that, because you don't want to go through the same thing that your parents did?
Yeah, exactly. I would never want to like if I had a kid, for example, I'd never want them to have to go through what I went through.
And how did you overcome that?
Well, it took a long time. Took many years to get over it, but I kind of just did my own thing. I realized that having to like split house time, like going to my mom's house, going to my dad's house, that's just what normal's going to be like now. So, I mean, it's not really a big deal to me anymore. Like, obviously it is a big part of my life, having to go back and forth and stuff like that, but it doesn't affect me in like a negative or like I'm always sad or depressed way anymore.
So would you say because of this, when you go through other challenges now, you're able to bounce back and pivot when push goes to shove?
Yeah, that can definitely happen. You just got to catch your own rebound and play the cards that you got dealt. Sometimes your cards could be terrible, sometimes your cards are good, but it just depends.
All right, thank you, Blake.
Nick Slater.
All right, Nick Slater, I know that you're a baseball athlete. Have you ever had to go through any challenges with baseball?
Yeah, I've gone through a lot. I've broke a lot of bones. I broke my back, my elbow, or one of my right elbow and my left arm. So those were all pretty big challenges to get through. Going through physical therapy, just trying to get back to who I was before.
Was there any mental toll that it took on you going through all these injuries and like with baseball and stuff?
Not really, no. It was pretty demoralizing. Like every time you get hurt, you just have to think about how you have to get back to where you were before. And it's gonna be a long road and long recovery, but when you've done it before, you know how to get through it again.
All right. Can you give any advice to people or athletes who are struggling with injuries and it's taking a mental toll on them? Like what helped you get through yours?
You just gotta think of the future, like you're gonna get through it, and you just have to bet on yourself, and like focus on ways how you're gonna get through it. Like if it's physical therapy, just trust what people are telling you what to do and what will work.
All right, and what would you say, like has baseball shaped you in any way? Has it made you a better person or shaped your personality?
I think it's made me more outgoing, liking to meet new people more. I guess just forming bonds that might not have been there if I hadn't played baseball.
All All right, Nick, and it's my understanding that you're dating someone who lives in a different state currently because of college. Do you want to talk about any challenges or anything, or like the hardships of being in a long-distance relationship?
It's been pretty good so far. We haven't really faced many hardships. You just need to like realize like you're gonna get through it if you really want to, and if you want to make it work, you can. You just got to focus on like staying connected and in touch and telling the other person everything that's going on and just being as close to them as you can.
You have a reputation of being like a really nice guy and being really social. So what do you think helps you become outgoing and just trying to be a good person and be nice to everyone?
I think you just need to be like easygoing in life. You're not thinking about what other people think, and that will make you more likable. If you look at everyone as a friend, don't judge a book by its cover. If you get a first impression of someone that's bad, you got to get to know them first before, like, really not trying to like be close with them.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
All right, so what's your name?
Cali Brown.
All right, Callie, and so I know you like going to the gym and you're very adamant about physical health and physical fitness. So would you like talking about that, like your reasons for why you want to go to the gym and work out and body image, please?
Can I get deep?
Yeah.
Alright, so the reason why I started going to the gym was about 2 years ago. I had an eating disorder really bad, and so I just wanted to like change for myself a little bit. My stepdad's the one who got me into it. He also, we got a gym membership at Max Effort together, and that's when I realized that I wanted to get stronger instead of smaller. So I started pushing myself, and instead of having that mentality of trying to get thinner and skinnier and stuff and like not eating, I started to like do bulks and actually research into the gym and like how to get bigger and how to gain strength. So instead of depriving myself of food, I started eating it more, and I fell in love with the gym and fitness overall.
Okay, and so what do you think the biggest lesson or biggest barrier you overcame on your journey of like dealing with your ED and then overcoming it?
Overcoming it was definitely a journey. It took a long time, but I think that the biggest lesson is that nobody really cares what you look like. I realized that, and like nobody ever judged me for when I was really skinny, and nobody cared when I got bigger, and it's just all something that's a mindset thing. And it was really hard to learn that nobody's judging you, and that you just have to be happy with who you are for yourself, and I'm glad I'm at that point now.
All right, and what advice would you give to anyone else who's struggling with the ED or just body image, or like develop the mentality that you kind of write your own path, you can like control your mindset about yourself?
The advice that I would give is to just be around the right people and surround yourself with good people, and if you know you need help, then you need to look for it, because even if you like don't want it, you know you need it. And that's what I didn't want it for a long time, so I would never bring it up. I would never say anything, and I would go out of my way to hide it as like best as I could until I realized that it was getting really bad, and that's when I finally got the help I needed.
Thank you for sharing that with me. And then also, could you talk about your aspirations, because I know you want to go into the Air Force, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, could you talk about that, please?
So I want to go into the Air Force National Guard because I think it's just the best option for me after high school. And that's because I do want to serve for my country. And my stepdad was in the Marine Corps, and he's just a very big, what's the word? Motivation. In my life.
Motivational person.
Yes,
Okay.
He's a very big supporter of mine, and he pushes me every day, and I think he really got me into that type of military mindset, and it just would also allow me to find myself too. It gives me time to find who I am and do something good for the country.
All right, thank you, Callie. All right, so state your name.
I'm Tim Burleson.
All right, Tim. So can you talk a little bit about your parents?
Sheldon, my parents were never married. My mom was at a party in high school, got a little too hammered one night, and then out came me, and there goes my dad.
All right, and how did that affect you growing up with like parents who weren't married?
I always grew up with my grandma because my mom wasn't in the picture, so I guess it affects you. You don't see how a male role model is supposed to act in relationship ways, so it kind of gives you a horrible start.
Okay. Are you glad that you were raised by your grandma? Did she do a pretty good job? Were you happy?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Can't ask for much though. I mean, I was raised with all girls who had no clue how to raise a kid or a son. They'd never had a boy before, so.
You think that's going to play a role in how you, the type of father that you want to be and the type of male role model you want to be for your son?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just, living from that experience, it's like you don't want to put your kid in that situation, so it's going to make you try to be the best you can be for him.
And do you think because of the situation that you were kind of born in, kind of affects how you see and view relationships today?
Honestly, yeah. I feel like it kind of, plays a part with the abandonment issue. So, like, I'm always overthinking situations that I shouldn't be overthinking.
Would you mind giving an example?
Let's say, one person, like, your girlfriend or boyfriend, however, which way you lean. But, I mean, that too. I was getting at that. So, like, let's say they tell you they're doing one thing with someone, they're off in college, something like that. Or spring break, whichever one.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah. And they say, oh no, he's just my best friend, like, he doesn't even like girls. And then maybe 3 days later you find out. Yeah, you find out they cheated on you, so it kind of, you feel like you're going to get abandoned by everyone.
I feel that.
And how were you able to overcome that, Tim?
Friends, lots of food, and energy drinks.
I also feel that. I love food.
Fortnite too, or Siege. That helped.
Do you think some of the methods that you use are more on the healthier side of ways, or do you think you could kind of like channel some of the things you've gone through in a healthier way?
I mean, genuinely, I think the way that I handled it was pretty healthy. I did cry. Everyone cries though. But like, I didn't extend that crying period for days on days. I kind of was like, oh, that sucks. Get over it.
And what advice would you have to someone who is going through something, whether it be like a family issue or just anything when it comes to feeling like detachment or like abandonment issues? What advice would you have to them that it's going to be okay and that they can overcome it?
Just surround yourself with friends, people you can trust. Honestly, don't trust too easily. People have that habit of trusting someone way too easily, way too soon, and that's what bites you in the butt.
So you believe that all your relationships and stuff now has been built on trust and has been spent a good while getting to know the other person, like with friendships and stuff, for you to have that level of trust with the other person?
I mean, like, yeah, it's a lot different when you're putting in perspective a guy and girl. Like, say if I were to get into a relationship with a girl, that trust would be gone. But like me and Nate, like, if we became friends yesterday, like, I would trust him just because like he's another guy. I'm not gonna date him or have to worry about him cheating or leaving or anything like that.
But so you think that the relationship dynamic between a romantic and a platonic one kind of plays a part in how you approach it?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I for sure think it does, because friendship, you understand that friendships are forever. The relationship part, your goal is to be forever. Your goal is to like have that long-lasting high school sweetheart. So obviously the trust is a lot different.
Do you think that you've been able to become a stronger person because of some of the challenges and things that you've gone through?
Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone has become stronger from any sort of challenge they face, no matter how big or small. But I definitely feel like it made me smarter in the relationship aspect, along with putting trust into other people.
All right, thank you, Tim.
I'm Nathan Maas.
All right, Nathan, could you talk a little bit about loss? Because it's my understanding that you know what that feeling feels like.
Yeah, I lost my grandpa and grandma about 3 years ago now, both in the span of 3 to 4 months. Loss to me, it's like, I guess, obviously, maybe to everyone, just someone just going away and never seeing them again. And I feel like sometimes you almost let people down, and let's see.
Like you take them for granted.
Yeah, you don't realize what you have until you truly don't have it anymore. And I think that's just huge, and people forget that all the time, including me. Like, Alzheimer's is crazy. Like, they just forget who you are. They forget everything about you. When my grandma was going through it, it was about 5 years maybe. And like, she forgot my name within the first 2 years. She called me a girl, like, for ages, because my sisters were always with her, and she just had no idea. And it felt like you were just gradually losing them, and they were almost getting like pulled away. Like it was like a string that got cut, and each strand was getting pulled away like every day. And that was pretty hard to deal with. Just she doesn't even know who you are. Like it's crazy to think about how you spent so much time, how happy she was when you first got there, and she just has no recollection of you. And that also happened to my great grandma too. And I don't even think she knew who my great grandpa was at the time of death. Like, she couldn't even like talk.
And do you think that because of those with your great grandma and your grandparents, you kind of have this fear with your parents or something that maybe is hereditary?
I do fear that. I used to fear it a lot more. I'd say I overthink a lot, like way too much. I overthink everything.
With
Even if
just with your family or just in
family in general too. I'd say like if I make a mistake, I overthink about like who it affects and what happens, and like I fear letting people down. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people do, but sometimes it affects me more than others, I'd say. And I'm just afraid, what if I let someone down and they're done? Like, I'd never see them again the next day, and I'd be left on a note where they're gone and I can't change anything. I'm sure people know this, but I've been blessed with a healthy family, a good life. I've had a lot of like amazing things happen in my life, and it was just hard to think about like what's gone wrong. I do feel bad for people who don't have that. Like, not everyone is fortunate enough to grow in a family with both parents around. Like Tim just was explaining, and I felt bad for him. I feel like I don't understand like how I got it and other people didn't, but I'm just glad I did, and I feel bad for those who didn't.
So do you think because of that you try to be a nice and kind person to everyone?
Oh man, I hate to say it, but I don't always feel like I am nice and kind to everyone, and I am definitely rude to people, and I try to work on that. I want to be like a better role model to other people and just have them have an experience that I had and they didn't get to have.
Do you think there's a reason why sometimes you're not always the nicest?
I think it's just who I am. Like, I get kind of annoyed pretty easy with people, especially if they don't understand what I'm thinking. Then I get annoyed that they don't understand, even though I didn't even like describe it at all what's happening.
I think it's okay to be like that because not everyone's perfect and we all have our flaws. And I feel like, especially in this time, we're all just like learning to become better humans and people. And we're making mistakes along the way. I know I've made my fair share of mistakes in high school and stuff too. Do you think that, like, when talking about death and stuff, it's harder for people who haven't gone through it to understand your feelings and where it comes from? Like, do you think it's one of those types of things that people have to experience firsthand to truly understand the feeling?
Yeah, I think some people just don't understand they don't have it, and it's good and bad that you don't have to experience it, but you almost have to. You're going to have to experience it someday. And I think you should just learn how to cope with it, because it's not going to change. Like, that's a permanent thing that's going to happen. And people just got to try to learn and deal with it. Me personally, I distance myself from people I know who I'm going to lose. So when it's time that I'm losing them and they're gone forever, I don't even really have a close connection with them. And that part I regret a lot. And it's just, I can't change it.
If you could speak to your grandparents one more time, what would you say to them?
Honestly, I'd just hug them and tell them I loved them, and they made such a great life for me growing up. And my grandpa would always like try to do things with me and like build stuff. He was like a builder. He loved to create things. And sometimes I just kind of took it for granted and be like, oh, no, I'm okay. Like, I have other things going on, when really I didn't. And sometimes I wish that I did. Like, there was one time where he was going to build a boat out of wood, and he was all excited about it, and he started working on it, and I think I helped him one time, and just, like, every time I went there, I just didn't really do anything. I just kind of sat upstairs and just kind of hung out while he was building it, and I do regret that a lot. And I especially thought about that exact moment when he did pass away.
Do you think because of this you appreciate life on a different level now because of the fact that your grandparents are no longer here?
I definitely try to live life to the most because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm even thinking about 2 days ago when Elijah Holt passed away. And that really, it's crazy to think about that they're just gone in an instant. Like, he was there one day and gone the next. And I think you just got to try to make the best out of every moment in your life, because you don't know what's going to happen next. And after I heard the news about that, I started to think back about like what I'm taking for granted. Like if I get annoyed with someone and I take it out on them, and it's like it could be a game that I'm participating in, and I get mad at my teammate because you messed up. Like I should be enjoying that I'm doing this game while other people are not on this world anymore.
I've experienced loss too. Sophomore year, one of my closest friends committed suicide and died. And that was
I'm
really
sorry
hard.
about that.
Thank you. And I was able to get through it and stuff. But when I found out that Elijah died, it really hurt my heart because I knew exactly how that felt. And to have to see like kids that we know, because we went to school with Elijah and a lot of his friends last year because they're just in the grade above us. My heart ached so bad for them because I knew that feeling so well. And I just felt so bad because there was like nothing I could do to fix it, and I knew that it was going to crush them, and it was hard.
Yeah, I just can't imagine being, some of his friends moved far away for college.
I can't imagine being Zoe here right now.
Yeah.
I know, I feel so bad for her. And if she does somehow see this, you just gotta just fight through it. It sucks a lot, and you just gotta keep moving on. You're gonna think about him all the time and think about what you could have done and couldn't have done. And it's not gonna change. You just gotta think of him as a signal to make your life better for him. Do everything for him. Yeah.
I agree. What advice would you have to anyone who's going through loss? Would it be just the same thing to live life to the fullest? Or
I think if you have to keep moving on in life. Nothing's going to change it, no matter how much you sit around and mourn the loss. It sucks a lot, but you got to keep moving forward in life and making the life for your friends and your family and your future kids maybe someday. You got to make that better for them, so maybe they don't have to experience what you had to.
I actually watched a movie and there was a quote about death in it, and it talks basically about how when like a man or a dog or anyone's time on earth is up, it's because they've learned everything that they needed to learn. They'd accomplished everything that they needed to accomplish. And I feel like people should find comfort in the fact that when someone they love died, they were able to contribute to that. Like you were part of the reason why they were able to learn and be able to experience everything that they needed to on this earth. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. You got to think about too how you made them like so happy to be on this earth, and even like it sucks that your friend committed suicide, but you tried your best to make his life the best. And some things you just don't know what's happening in their life, and you just got to try to help them out. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sheldon Thomas. I am both the filmer and the editor of this video. I originally had wanted to make this video for a journalism competition for the state of Michigan, but as I continued to interview more students, I realized that every single person has a voice, every single person has a story that deserves to be heard. So I took kids from my school and listened to their stories, and I learned so much not only about them, but just about people in general, that we all have a story, that we all have a unique voice. We've all gone through something, and you should never judge anyone because you don't know everything about them or their life situation. I hope you guys enjoyed this documentary, and I will see you guys in my next video.